Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where we're going to talk about the fact that Babymetal have gone into the world of NFTs. Now, if you don't know what an NFT is, join most of the world. However, it is effectively like those cryptocurrencies, which are currencies that are decentralized, where they only really have the value that is given to them by people believing in them, except for an NFT is basically like buying a thing, but it's not a thing. It's a digital thing, like a digital picture or something that only exists in cyberspace and only, again, has the value that is given to it by people believing it has value. Therefore, you wouldn't be surprised to hear that a lot of people are saying this is all a big scam. Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit about a positive and a negative way of looking at Babymetal's announcement, but first of all, I should be honest, I don't personally believe in NFTs. I think they're a bad idea. I don't believe in cryptocurrency hugely. However, I accept that the future things may change and these might become valid things. So I'm not being judgmental on either side of this. I personally, however, am not pro NFT. Now, to properly discuss this, we will be looking at Babymetal's Twitter announcement of this, which has obviously come on the heels of them doing their video talking about the other one, the new phase. And we were all excited to hear, what is this thing after them being on hiatus so long? Where is the future of Babymetal going? And they were talking about the Metalverse as well, which I didn't know if that was just like a name for maybe the new free album phase or something, but I was slightly suspicious that it might be a metaverse ripoff, as I think a lot of other people seemingly were as well. That could be a cool community thing. I don't know anyone was really begging for that, and considering there tends to be sometimes infighting in the opinions of Babymetal fans, it is a very big fan base after all. I don't know exactly how harmonious a metaverse made up entirely of Babymetal fans would be. I can imagine them getting into two camps and soon having wars over various issues. Needless to say though, it isn't so much the Metalverse thing that everyone is upset with. We'll see how that goes. It's more this NFT, and in the case here, you can see it's them announcing effectively they are releasing a digital online trainer, sneaker, depending on what country you can call it, running shoe that you can buy. Except, as mentioned, it's an NFT, so it's not a real shoe. It's a digital shoe. It doesn't exist. The money you pay for it exists, but the shoe doesn't. Now, it could be content to use when you have a virtual avatar in the Metalverse or something, but that doesn't seem to have been something that's been announced yet. So I'm not entirely sure that anyone really knows what the practical application of this is, except for to say you bought a digital shoe, which is not something I would necessarily brag about. I also find it amusing that it has that thing that I've never been such a big fan of with merchandise, where the manufacturer's logo is bigger than the person who is basically being endorsed by this tie-in product. So it doesn't even particularly stand out as being a Babymetal product in my opinion. However, the backlash has been strong with this one, so we're going to go through some of the, I think, fairly legitimate negative comments, but I'm going to try and not just sort of amplify them, but talk about them and maybe give alternate perspectives to try and calm down a little bit of the anger going on out there right now, as justifiable as it may be. So the top three comments I had come up were quite interesting. I mean, I just want to first of all go to Philip Gregory's one where he says, Rick, how do you even make a virtual sneaker? This makes absolutely no sense. I think that really cuts to the core of what a lot of people feel like. This is not even a real piece of merchandise. Again, though, it might have some use in some sort of Metalverse. However, I think they should more clearly announce that before they get into selling like downloadable merchandise that cost to go in that Metalverse. Nate, however, cuts a little bit deeper here. He says, you ruined it. All the excitement, all the buzz we had about your comeback, you ruined it. Don't give us NFTs after months of silence. This is actually shocking marketing, and management's hunger for money is ruining the band. Don't do this. Now, I wanted to jump onto this because this is one of the things that I have a little bit of a rebuttal to, which is effectively, if people don't want to buy it, they don't have to buy it. There is supply and demand. If people are handing over their money for it and they're happy they purchased it, maybe they won't be happy after a while, but that was their choice. I know it's harsh to say, but there is that element where we can go, you don't have to purchase these things. If you chose to purchase them, fair enough. And if you didn't, well, it would have been no different from no announcement at all. And for that, I go down to the comment that Dartai-san made, which said, nobody wants this, please just stop. We were also excited after Fox Day and you gave us this. Now that's kind of the big thing. Now we did a video recently where we were talking about all the cool things that bands did for April Fool's Day, which seems to be a big thing. You know, bands like to release funny things around there. Now obviously Babymetal, they use Fox Day as a big thing, and that's kind of more the issue here. It's not so much the supply and demand thing, it's the fact that they released this when their fans were expecting something. Now, if it had been, it could have been anything. It could have just been an update saying what they were doing. I had originally surmised falsely, assuming that the Metalverse couldn't possibly be a metaverse, I was kind of thinking, well, the other one, does the one means the fan, so the other one means the band, and the O's that split off, is this going to be like a documentary about the two members? Is it going to be something like that? Not music, but just something to keep the fans up to date? This is kind of what I mean. This is what you would expect a band to do to keep their fans on side. And when you go and release merchandise instead, if it's merchandise that the fans have really been dying for, then great. But if it's super divisive merchandise, which is, you know, a thing that isn't even a real thing, that's going to upset people. So yes, there is a supply and demand thing, but there is also the negative side that they've kind of squandered the expectation that their fans had for them. Reese even says, so why not just release real shoes? And that's true. If they released these alongside a real shoe release, then that might have been a good idea. I mean, look at these ones. No, sad. Why? Then a few further down we've got, no, this is too much. Haha, I can't stop laughing, says Martin for Jazz. 84 for Jazz. Good job, Cobra. Your actions to destroy Babymetal day by day keep going strong. Retirement when, shame on you, BMT. Now, and then a big no underneath it. I want to put two sides on this as well. Now, there is obviously the unfortunate negative side that this kind of does affect the credibility of the image of the band when you're getting involved in like really divisive subjects like NFTs and crypto and things like that. However, I should also put something else out there, which is you have to remember that Babymetal come from a very pop background. That's not to justify this, but it is to say you have to remember that there is a separation between the image and a lot of the things they do and the band. Now, I would say, therefore, that this more tarnishes the record label's image. And I know Koba is the connection between the label, really the management, and the band, but keep the band separate from that in your mind. Remember, the music is still the music. And this was beautifully actually demonstrated by the interaction here when Snark Mallow puts up this picture. And I think this made me laugh. It was quite funny, where it says, Babymetal is a brand, not a band, changed my mind. But Mark Spawn quite, I think, well responded. They are both. And, you know, we like to think of them as being primarily metal, but they do come from a pop space. That's one of the things that has made them so popular, is they've been able to have that theatrical commercial element whilst doing music that's legitimately music that, you know, pop, rock, metal fans, you know, I didn't mean pop rock, but pop and rock and metal fans can all enjoy. But they are still those two things, and they are still going to operate in both spaces. Which brings me on to the larger issue here, which, again, one can't be seen to directly impede or affect the other. Bad commercial choices doesn't mean bad music, and also the delay in them releasing new music is not necessarily because of bad marketing choices. The people who decide to release NFT sneakers, trainers, I still can't get over it, even myself, they are not the same people who are writing the music. They are not involved in that. I'm pretty certain that they would have no say in when the live concerts happen, anything like that. And they certainly wouldn't be delaying making money from live tours or releasing new music for the sake of doing this. So it is important to remember that one is almost certainly not impeding the other. What it is about is the fact that I believe that the band are taking legitimate time away to reinvent themselves to a certain degree or decide where to go next. I did do a video previously where I talked just after they announced the hiatus. It's a teeny bit out of date now, but there were some points already made about what they need to do next. I really felt that the first 3 albums were a trilogy where they explored every space within metal they could do, and any fourth album would run the risk of slightly retreading ground. So I do think there is room for a reinvention of the band. And like I said, I talked about that and all various possibilities, like them becoming the musicians themselves and all kinds of things. It could be completely pie in the sky, but could happen. But, however, that is a decision that I think is totally separate from anything like this. And therefore, we come back to that issue of simply how do they keep their loyal fans happy in the meantime. Obviously, they're big, they're, you know, sort of as close to a household name as any sort of metal artist can be these days. And therefore, they've got a lot of casual fans who just won't really care. And then the minute they hear about a new release, they'll come back around to, oh, wow, Babymetal's got something new. But they're loyal fans who are sitting there waiting, chomping at the bit. Those are the ones who you have to be thinking about really taking care of them. Because their loyal fandom is the energy, it's the fuel that really fuels the explosion of excitement when your stuff comes out, and therefore spreads amongst everyone out and goes out to those more casual fans. Therefore, you have to keep them feeling respected. And that's where this comes in. Again, it's the Fox Day thing. People are waiting for an announcement of something. I mean, there were a lot of complaints in here just about the concept of, oh, it's more merch. But, you know, again, I did think like a short documentary or something would be nice. Maybe even a remix album, just anything which has some content. But, you know, again, merchandise is supply and demand. You know, people will buy it if they want it. They don't have to. They can just wait for the next release if they want to. And I do believe they have legitimate reason to be taking time with the next release. But when it comes to NFTs, as I say, it goes one step further. It goes to that step where people feel like you're not just milking us for merchandise here, you're asking us for money for something that isn't even real, and you've done this at the expense of our expectations on a day that is important to the fans. It's like a double insult. So I really do get where the fans are coming from. However, I'm going to flip it on its head once again and say, try and keep a clear perspective on this. Remember, again, the band has legitimate reason to be taking time to be thinking about their next steps and probably be coming back with something awesome on the back of this. And remember, again, you haven't lost anything. Nothing has gone away here. Yeah, the expectations for something exciting coming out as an announcement have been squandered, but, you know, nothing's been taken away from you that you haven't given. If you haven't handed them over money, they haven't taken anything from you. Maybe they've tarnished the reputation of the brand a little bit, but if you're a real fan, it's not the brand that you care about, it's the music, so don't get too concerned about that. If any of your more casual music fans go, hey, that band you like, are they doing NFTs? Just say, yeah, it's the record label. You know, they got some crazy pie-in-the-sky ideas going on out there. What can I say? But the band's still the band, and I'm sure they're taking this time to work on something great. So patience with that. I even like how here at the bottom of this one, there's a really funny little page here, but the other Babymetal says, no, there's a lot of no's in this thread. Give me real shoes. And that's the interesting thing. They could be making money from their fans who would gladly hand over money for these shoes if they were real. You know, imagine if they teamed up with a real clothing company rather than some fake one. Matches saying this has already gone too far. Not only have we not heard from the girls for more than 5 months, but the only thing they promote is their products, treating us like cows until they exploit the last penny of wallets, etc., etc. The big thing about this is I get the feeling that Manchester was really going on that feeling that we haven't heard from the girls, we haven't heard from the band in 5 months. And yeah, I think, you know, if it was any other band, they would be posting a lot of things just talking to their fans, but I think this is all part of the mystique of Babymetal hiding themselves away. And if there is some visual reinventation to the way the band looks, you know, completely refreshing their identity, doing something quite different, then they might want to hide that. But I do kind of agree that, again, that raises the tensions when you're going to do divisive product launches like this. And at the bottom, the Merciless with, why are you doing this to us? I feel heartbroken. We do not want NFT, and that is the saddest picture. Ooh. But I'm going to leave you with this comment. This was a reply to one of the many comments who are angry about this. This is from Buttons Metal, who said, but you don't understand. This is what we do. We always bitch and complain when stuff comes out, or are you new here? Bit confrontational. It's what makes us awesome and unique. Do you remember the packing tape or the Home Depot crate? Stop ruining our fun. Have a 4K mower. Although I don't necessarily completely agree with that, I do agree with the legitimacy of people's complaints. It does kind of come down to that thing that, of course, people like complaining because they're passionate, because they have expectations, and those expectations are not being met. But once again, remember, they haven't taken anything away from you, they just failed to provide. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this whole NFT debacle, and that's really what I feel it is. Remember, the band is still the band. I'm sure they're still working on the same things they would have been if this never happened. And hopefully all this time of quiet is because they're going to give you something very unexpected when they do come back with music. So let's stay positive, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao ciao.